Hey, how's everybody doing there today? I'm Thomas Nyback. This is 365 Days Towards Racial Change. Day 232 underway. Glad to be with you, spending time. Thank you for tuning in. We're here talking about Black issues in America. If you're new, and I just give a few minutes of monologue here about my concern about Black mentality in America. Um, how do we understand where Black people are situated, how we're situated, how we got to this point in America? So, therefore, we talk about history, economics, politics, uh, anything's fair game, whatever pertains to life, but life as a Black person in America. There's some uh, great many things we could talk about, nuances about that, and it begins here in the mind whether we want to change, if there's a need to change, because some of my angst is that the majority of Black folks are struggling and not doing as well as their parents, or a lot of these things like that, and society just moves along, just keeps moving along, and I don't see a whole lot of people taking some time to do some critical thought on their position, black, white, brown, red, yellows, whoever you are. I don't see anybody engaged in their lives. We're just living in this conditioned way, going through life, cradle to the grave, the majority of us. And that's probably very sad for Black folks who have contributed so much to this country and nation, who still receive so little reward for their efforts. On the flip side, I'm concerned with the white mind. White folks have expectations of favor, privilege in the land, power. Um, they've frozen wealth over generations. The system works for them quite well, and it's no surprise. It was created by them, for them, and it's administered by them. You know, everybody else is. Uh, we get the byproduct, leftovers, and whatnot of wealth and privilege. And like we're going to talk about a little bit today, and tomorrow is about maybe elements of the passivity of how Black people in particular get to that point. Um, Also, for financial literacy specifically, I just got done reading a book by G. Edward Griffin. I think I got that right. And of A Creature from Jekyll Island. Read that. We're not going to do anything on that because the topics are very new to me, but they're very real. But, understand how money works, where it's going, uh, how to understand and critique financial information we may be getting from mainstream news and things like that. That's their information is correct on the surface, but we got to look underneath and get at the root of what's going on there in what they're saying. That book will help bring that about. But if you don't want to go to the extreme, try to understand how your money works in banking, that understand inflation, how hard your money has to work into the future. I've said it a few times already. I would have made some drastically different decisions if I had appreciated my longevity. Then I would have made some. I know I would have made some different decisions if I put my longevity into the equation. And I'd be in a much better, I'd be in a different place right now had I done that. I'm inspired by a man named Dr. Claude Anderson. We are going to get back into his, we're back into his work. We're going to get back into a Black History Reader, 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask. If you have the text, please look up question 44. We're going to take a day or two to talk a little bit about Barack Obama and his legacy as president, first Black president of the United States. Also by Dr. Anderson, Black Labor, White Wealth. And finally, Dr. Anderson's National Plan to Empower Black America. You can find Dr. Anderson at powernomics.com. Also behind me, you see the hashtag #US2 symbol. Find Black women supporting one another, discussing their issues there. Check out Black Enough, BLAGGENUF, for kind of a Black Facebook experience. If you can't find your flavor here on the World Wide Web, do what I did, start your own. And finally, we have story time, where we're getting back to some historical and factual material from Dr. Anderson right now for the next couple days, but I promise you we're going to get back to story time. We're going to finish this book before the year is out. I was on the bus, this was years ago, I was on the bus, and on the bus, public transportation, you get exposed to a lot of different experiences. Every once in a while, you get a comedian on the bus, and this man or woman knows that they know how to do some stand-up monologue and whatnot. They can get that whole space in a very humorous atmosphere. So I had a guy years ago, and he was talking about white folks and black folks and getting it together, struggles of black folks, and like he's talking about the paradigm dynamics and all this stuff, and everybody's getting a good chuckle. And he kind of finishes his presentation by saying, he says something to the effect of white people are saying, look, we gave you a black president. What more do you want? That took the whole bus apart. Everybody just lost it at that point, because it was humorous. We get it, that black people, whether it's conscious or unconsciously, we're striving. We are clawing our way in America. On the surface, it appears we're moving about freely, and people are doing well. Our entertainers and athletes are out there just chopping it up. But we're on the bus, going to some dead-end job or leaving a dead-end job. We can't afford own transportation, stuff like that. So, his comment about white people giving us a black president, what more would we want? It's going to get that reaction, because it's like, yeah, man, America's still got a long way to go. Right? The black president was the symbol. It was the lip service. The presidency and politics, if you understand, those men and women there are they're representatives to a large part, and this is after extreme vetting and control by a white system. So the president is who she color, race, whoever they are, it isn't going to be one to bring about a whole lot of radical change for their people, so to speak. Had Barack Obama been waving a black banner, black power, stuff like that, he would not have gotten as far. He wouldn't have gotten that far, being so concerned and exclusive about black issues in the land. You know, so that's what we're going to talk about today and tomorrow. Is President Obama's greatest and most memorable legacy. And this is according to Dr. Anderson. What's not mentioned here is the healthcare debacle. I'm critical of that. So that's not mentioned. We're not going to talk about that much, but one thing that's going to come out, I think that's obvious in his legacy is, he's there for 8 years, right? The first term, a lot of momentum, a lot of opportunities there. I bet you he got a lot of the black vote. I did not vote. I don't vote much, but let me still rant here a little bit. So he gets a second term, and I think that the hope is still out for black people to say, okay, let's give him another shot. Maybe he needed 4 years to kind of get it together, and there is that period. It's a major change in life and to the nation and things like that. And it didn't happen for black folks. He's um, he's quoted. He was kind of put to the point by Urban Radio Network, question about what he's going to do for black people and stuff like that. He's quoted as saying, "I can't pass any laws that say I'm going to help black folks. I'm the president of the entire United States. What I can do is make sure that I'm passing laws that will help all people, particularly those who are most in need." you know, and even under that statement, there was little change for black folks. So we're going to talk about some statistics in a minute. But at the end of his last term, he's on his way out. Did his 8 years. He's probably glad to be out of there and all that. He did maintain some of the status quo, which was important. We'll talk about that. At the end of his second term, and then this new president came in. But he did have some environmental things, and I guess he gave Putin some pushback, and was what you expect of a president, aside from black issues. And he once on his way out, he's trying to encourage black folks to support Hillary. Now, I will tell you that second term, at the end of that second term, I came close to voting, but then there's some glitch at the damn at the voting proceedings. I finally get up to get the motivation to go vote, and it was something real confusing and stupid happened where I couldn't vote. That's maybe some tampering going on there. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not close enough to the process, so I wouldn't know. Anyway, you find like after his second term, this new president really sweeps up a lot of the black vote, you know, because nothing changed for black people. Our expectations, our hopes just dashed, you know. And look, we're not stupid, and you know, the black folks aren't stupid. We understand you're not going to have this black takeover of the nation, and the nation's not going to go into this kind of racial anarchy because of black man's in office. But you know, I'm sure we hoped that this man would say something, do something. You know, this guy he taught constitutional law. I'm finding out. You know, and that speaks right to what we've been talking about the past couple of days with origination of the Constitution, you know, proceedings in Philadelphia, 1787, amendment issues, 1865, 1866. You know, these are up in his head, and he knows what's going on underneath the presentation of freedom that America presents to the world. You know, behind the scenes, there was conversation about black folks going on, and you know, this teacher of constitutional law, you know, I don't have to know what his curriculum was, but I probably guess I'd be surprised if he, even if in his classroom, that conversations, decision making about black people, how conversation about black people was so central, such a great portion of the discussions that made these documents, that made this nation possible. Very important. So therefore, you know, you saw, you know, he's trying to endorse Hillary and stuff like that, but people are like, ah. I mean, the Clintons already had some issues to begin with. You know, even though I was prepared to vote, I really didn't feel like I had a great choice. I didn't like Trump, and Hillary uh, gave me a bad vibe. So I didn't. I wasn't just feeling it, you know, either candidate, and that was the consensus of the nation. It was on the news, you know, that you know the people just. It was one of the first times in history that people really didn't have a choice. So if that's the prevailing thought of the nation, and black folks are consistently and normally conditioned to be underneath all of this, then man, black folks are really up against a rock and a hard place. Uh, so, you know, this new president really swept up a lot because, I mean, it was an obvious expectation, man. Say something, do something. In Obama's, almost his defense, you know, um, he wasn't connected really to what the black experience in America is like. He was not raised here, right? Um, he went to Harvard. You know, even if like even a black person from humble means going to a Ivy League school, you know, there's I think it takes a certain mindset. You know, I'd be surprised if Harvard had aggressive black clubs there on their campus. Any of the League schools, you know. So his legacy is kind of, you know, this watered down approach to helping and bettering life for black folks. Here's some statistics. This is page 136, Black History Reader. During his 8 years, now that's a considerable time, not like one term. Okay, he struggled to get it done. No, he had 2 terms to make it happen. And, he did have some issues where Iraq wars. He's trying to get out of there, and um, recessions and stuff like that. Okay, so he was. It wasn't like he was not busy. I get that. I get that he was busy. He could have taken some time though. Here's some statistics though. White unemployment dropped, while black structural unemployment rate remained nearly 50%. Right. Um, the poverty rate for blacks increased nearly 37%. That's a lot. You know, that's his base right there, falling through the cracks. Um, Feeling betrayed, disappointed. That there it is, right there. I'm sure. I mean, that first term, we saw a lot of outpouring and potential and stuff like that, rock the boats and all this good stuff happening, support building up behind him. Um, and there was, that black base coming out, finally making it happen. And they did it for him twice. Yet, over that 8 years, 37%. Um, the poverty rate increased 37%. Imprisonment incarceration rate remained uh, above 51%. I was like, dude, you're still throwing us, locking black people up in droves. Student achievement, college enrollment dropped. Wasn't zero, of course, because I actually started college 2008, thereabouts. Got enrolled and went back to school and whatnot. And for me, I was older, so I wasn't. It wasn't like taking vocational rehab or anything. I was going to school to learn something, have some fun, do something different, kind of. And the FBI reported that still about 60%, 67% of hate crimes were committed against Black Americans during that time. So you got hate crime. I think some of the nation though was kind of scared that either we fall into some kind of racial anarchy, hate crimes would increase, or something, some severe, visible racial thing. Although 67% is a good chunk of hate crime uh, for Black folks. So that's the legacy. Well, what's Obama? What did he do for Black folks exclusively? Again, here we don't toy with um, being included with immigrants and diversity and people of color. We're Black people. They're people of color. I don't know who people of color are anymore. I don't care. There's Black people here. Not ashamed of it, not afraid of it. Right? We didn't do anything for Black people. And we looked at a lot of angles on the same subject about how this inclusion and diversion, people of color, all these terms dilute the effectiveness, the potency, the potential for change for Black people. When we Black, we want to get dealing with Black people. It's like Will Smith in I, Robot. He's trying to tell people there's something wrong with the robots. He gets frustrated with his captain. I'm trying to tell you about the robots. You know, I'm trying to express and demonstrate the necessity for an exclusive black message and black agenda. Very important. Let me finish up with this. See if I can articulate this. Back in 2007, Dr. Anderson is also part of the Harvest Institute Friedman Foundation. Petitioned um, the administration um, not to file, not to make a law for Native Americans. We wanted. He was petitioning this group. This group was forwarding this energy for the United States to uphold treaties of 1866. This is the same time around the Civil Rights Acts that we talked about recently. And the treaties mandated that black Indians and those blacks formerly that were slaves owned by Indians be treated as non-black Native Americans, and get those benefits and things like that. We talked about President General Andrew Jackson and his relationship with Florida. I don't know if we've talked about that yet, but that this is where some of that language is coming from. But anyway, of course, nothing happened for black folks, but upwards of 100 pending legal lawsuits for non-black Native Americans were resolved under Obama. Obama got a big pat on the back from the Native American community, the non-black Native American community. Just another example. And us black folks, we just get slapped around, we get lip service and all that. When I had this issue at work, I was like, I'm not going to go into a big story, but I was pointing out this issue, and my supervisor gave me lip service. Oh, I'll write a report. I'm going to look into it. All this. I said, yeah, okay, you get that fixed. I'm coming back. And I quizzed him about it the next day or two. And he says, oh, that takes a couple of weeks and all this, But his attitude was like, Tomlins, go back doing the same work. We're getting around to it. I could tell he was lying to me. Right? That's what's happening with black folks in America. And this president, I love him to death. He overcame in America, but it wasn't a perfect presidency. He did not. It was another missed opportunity for black folks. It is. You find history, American history is riddled with missed opportunity and intentions for and toward black people. And it's profound. It's profound. Can't be too hard on them as well, because look, what's America? It's created by whites, for whites, administered by whites. It's not some place. I fear that a lot of people outside America think, oh, if I could just get to America, then I could participate in the system and really excel and whatnot. But it's not like that. It's, for one thing, it's white people first. I don't think I'm going to get too much argument against that fact, right? Black people are last and underneath as a group, as a community. I ain't going to get much argument against that fact either. Let me not hold you hostage. Come back tomorrow. We're going to finish up this question on President Barack Obama's legacy. We appreciate whatever he got done. He brought the nation through a pretty bad financial time created by white folks. But he doesn't get an A plus in his presidency. Let's just leave it at that. I'm pounding his nine back as day 232 out of the way. Come back tomorrow. Let's finish up this conversation on 365 days towards racial change. See you tomorrow.